Why it's not a good idea to cooperate with the prosecutor's office if you're a criminal defendant and they're offering you a better plea bargain if you cooperate with them. My name is Derron Woodfork. I'm an attorney in Scottsdale, Arizona. And at my firm, I restore I restore old gun rights and I seal old criminal cases here at my firm. But way back in the day, I was a public defender in here in Maricopa County, 26 years ago, I guess it was. And during my time as at the PD's office, every now and then we would get a case where the prosecutor would tell us, our client would get a better plea bargain if they cooperated with the police or cooperated with the state. And it was like never a good idea. And let me see here. Share the screen. And again, and this was like I said, this was like in the state system. This is when I was practicing law in Maricopa County. But I have friends who are now federal public defenders in the federal system, and I understand that cooperation agreements in the federal system are a lot more common, and they do them a lot more. Partly because the remnants of the old sentencing guidelines in the federal system. I think that was a way. Cooperation agreements were a way to kind of get people outside those guidelines and get less time, better plea bargains, things like that. I think now it's probably, even if the judges don't have the guideline, they still, obviously have a lot of, they have discretion in their sentencing. And so if you want to get a good recommendation from the prosecutor, or if you want to get a good plea bargain from the prosecutor in the federal system, you have to cooperate. And I think it's more common in that. But in the state system, you shouldn't, or it should be a really good reason to do it. And the reason why, and I have my notes right here, is that in the state system, every time you would go to the prosecutor saying, "Okay, we have information for you," most of the time they would say that the information is not good enough, and mostly because they already knew the information and they basically say, this is nothing new to us and it doesn't help us. If you can go back and get more better information, then that, we'll work with you. But it was always never good enough. It was like no matter what you brought them, it wasn't good enough. So that's why we always kind of said it was kind of like policy in the public defender's office is, we don't let our clients cooperate with the prosecutor's office. And also, it was, one of the unsaid spoken rules of that was that the information that you were giving had to be what they called upstream. And basically, that meant that you had to be giving information on somebody who was above you in the conspiracy or whatever it was, that, they were looking at more serious charges or something like that. And it was like, again, you couldn't go downstream. You couldn't go, below you. You couldn't give information about some, the street corner, crack dealer or whatever. It had to be upstream. It had to be the suppliers and the manufacturers and all that stuff. That's the information that you needed to give, in the cooperation agreements to even have a chance of getting a deal. And so that was one of the things. And then like the other thing is it was always like it's not safe. It's not safe to cooperate. Obviously, if people find out, your co-defendants find out, or people find out that you've been ratting on people, you've been talking about people, in order for you to get a better deal because you were in a jam, they're gonna, it's gonna be bad for you. And so, we were always saying that, look, it's just not smart because of your physical safety. And also connected to that is that you never really got like a concrete uh, agreement with the state. It's like they said, okay, if you cooperate with us, you'll get less time or you'll do no time, whatever. But you never could get it like in writing, and it could never be certain. And the problem with that was, again, like I just said about your physical safety, if you were cooperating in that system, is that you'd want to make sure that whatever agreement or you'd make sure whatever information you gave them in exchange for that, your plea or your sentence for your case would be no jail time. Because obviously you wouldn't go to jail as a snitch, essentially, because, bad things would happen to you. And so, at a minimum, you always wanted an agreement that you were not going to go to jail for the under the plea or in the sentencing, whatever. And so that was another reason why we always just said don't cooperate at all. And again, because the risk reward wasn't worth it in the system. Now, again, this is just when I was a public defender, I was in it every day, and so I had these cases every day. I don't know if it's changed now where it's more better, but I can't imagine why. I mean, I can't imagine it is, and I can't imagine why. So, if you're ever a defendant and the prosecutors come to you with an offer to cooperate with them in exchange for a lesser charge, don't do it. Or at least talk to your lawyer and be very, very hesitant to do it. Anyways, that was my experience at the public defender's office way back in the day. If you have any questions, please shoot them in the comments or leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. I mean, like I said, in the federal system, it's a little different. They cooperate all the time, and obviously they have the same, concerns that I just laid out here, but they do it. But I understand in the federal system, it happens a lot more. But anyways, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.